Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. Like to welcome you all to the show. Look, this was part 2, Sunday, 10 a.m. this morning. You can go back to noi.org to hear this particular lecture that Brother Minister Farrakhan did. Dynamic Savior's Day, part 2. Done it at Mount Marion, but go back on noi.org to check that out. I mean, you definitely gonna want to hear that. You want to be a part of this history, and you also want to gather that information that was given, right? But I just wanted to touch base on something that he spoke of about the life and times of Jesus. And it was so profound to the point to where I don't think a lot of people have heard this or knew these truths. You have to remember now that what he taught was the teachings that was taught to him by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And when I do my research, I find out that what was actually being taught was right and exact. So I don't want to delay it any longer. I do want you all to check this out, right? And of course, we all know that dealing with this topic is somewhat, how can I say, taboo in a sense, because a lot of times people don't want you to hear the minister, and they don't want this information out. I don't know why. We are truth seekers. As they say, our generation, Generation X, we are the ones who go out and dig and find that truth, and then we share that truth with those who would listen. We share those truths with those who are in need of knowledge or in need of light. So we want you all to gather that truth, you know? Well, y'all just bear with me, though, because I got to set this up for you all, but I actually want to play something pertaining to that. And we had a little technical difficulties, but we getting it back online with you all, so just bear with me. But this knowledge is something that we need to know as black people, because we've allowed others to tell our history, and the prophets, especially Jesus, was one of us. So who best knows him? They're coming straight from the family tree, I should say, in which he belonged in, that line of divine. So y'all listen up.
Of the former prophets, and his life touches their life.
Speaking on Jesus.
His mission encompasses their mission and ends the time of prophets, because now you're coming into the time of the presence of God. And God making you, me, us into gods. Listen. You got it up there? Now, Elijah Muhammad, this is his helper by his side, made for him.
Speaking on himself, Farrakhan.
By the one that's not there for you to see. But his name is Master Farrakhan Muhammad. Jesus is the key. Once you have the key, you can open doors that may have been shut to you, and you can close doors. Now, Jesus closes the door on prophethood. Not Jesus the prophet. Jesus the Messiah. He's not yesterday. He's today. He was a man of color yesterday. They rejected him and called him a monkey. And the Jews went astray. See, Moses' law was broken 1,700 years after Moses. A wicked fella named Nimrod broke the civilization of Moses. And the whole earth went into darkness, spiritual darkness. And Jesus was born in that darkness, out of that darkness. And he was telling the Jewish people, you've got to go back to what Moses and the Israelite prophets taught you. And if you clean yourself up, God will not destroy you. They hated him, and they sought to kill him. And the Jews and the Roman soldiers, they got him on that street that Saturday morning between 9 and 10 o'clock. Jesus was teaching. The Jewish store owner realized that this was the one, that there was a bounty on him. He called the authorities. And when the authorities came and they saw Jesus, they ran to get him and bring him to the authorities. Yes, sir. And they started arguing among themselves, the two soldiers, because one said that he got there sooner than the man on the left. And listen to how sharp the mind of Jesus was. He said, the soldier on my left, you did not get me first. The man on the right was 0.3 of a second ahead of you. That soldier walked away. And the Roman soldier that was bringing Jesus to the authorities started bargaining with him. You brought him in dead, you get $1,500. If you bring him in alive, you get $2,500. But dead or alive, they wanted Jesus. And the Roman soldier said, look, if they get you, they're going to torture you. So why don't you let me kill you? It'll be so quick, you would not feel it. I'm a poor man, and the $2,500 I could use. And Jesus said to the soldier, come and do it. And he faced the soldier with his arms outstretched in the form of a cross. But the Roman soldier took a knife that looked like the American hunting knife, and he drove that knife into the heart of Jesus with such speed and force that it came through him and stuck on the board behind him. His nerves froze. And when Joseph came to retrieve the body, he was in this form. And they laid him down. The reason I love Jesus so much, and of all the subjects and histories that the messenger taught me, I taught the history of Jesus, the best of all the histories, not knowing that I was teaching about myself. Don't clap. Just sit, listen, think. Nobody in America, in the world, has attracted the anger of the Jewish people more than who? I don't want you to be afraid to say it. See, it is I. I've never hurt one Jewish person in my life. I've never told any one of you to harm one of them. My mother grew when I was growing up, working at her sewing machine and cleaning the homes of Jewish people. My mother never came home and told me one negative thing about the Jewish people that she worked for. One day she was in the kitchen washing pots. And I came on the radio in Boston, and the Jewish lady for whom she worked looked and listened. And she said, I wonder who that boy's mother is. And she looked up from the pot. My beautiful black mother. And she said, that's my son. I don't think she stayed working there too much longer. Because in order for a son to know what I was teaching with the boldness that I was teaching it with, I had to have a strong mother. Now, those of you who have Bibles, go home, and in the 8th chapter of John, there's a controversy between Jesus and members of the Jewish community. And Jesus said to the Jews, I know you. You are not the children of Abraham. For if you were the children of Abraham, you would do the works of Abraham. And you would love me. For I came from God. And now you hate me A man that has told you the truth. You seek to kill me. A man that has told you the truth. Some of us are like those Jews that hated Jesus without a cause. So when I was in that little chapel on the day that my brother Kobe was pronounced dead, when I finished my prayer and looked up into the eyes of Jesus, a black man on a cross, his eyes were like not fear, but he was deeply concerned about what he was looking at. And when I saw it, I exclaimed, Father, you know that I now know I'm looking at myself. How deep is your love? How deep is your love? See, Jesus loved his people. And the first thing I said to God when I learned that he had come and chosen a messenger, I said, Lord, why didn't you choose me? You know that I love my people. And then I thought, oh, well, I wasn't even born when the Savior came. And I said, let me go and find him and offer him my life. And I went and found Elijah Muhammad, at that time known as the messenger of God. Put it back up on the screen.
That was Minister Farrakhan speaking on Jesus, and then he was speaking on his teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I played this for you all because I wanted you to understand the true history of Jesus, specifically the part on how the Roman soldiers and how one of the Roman soldiers put that knife through Jesus, where it went through him and it stuck in the board behind him, and it penetrated straight through the body of Jesus, and he formed the position of the cross with his arms stretched out. We need to know the truth. We need to know the truth of who Minister Farrakhan is, because in this day and time, there has to be a divine intervention and a divine hand on this brother's being in order to do what he's able to do in this dispensation in time, for teaching us for as long as he's been among us, teaching the word and the history of not just Jesus, but himself, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and also getting us acquainted with who Master Farad Muhammad is. That is black history, is what I'm trying to get you all to understand. The legacy and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam is black history in America. And if you look at some of my previous shows, we dealt with the early Muslim history. Now we're showing how the history has been brought back into the forefront, not only in America, but throughout this whole planet. So do your research and study and just look into the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I mean, that's a study for every melanated person on this planet. Every more melanated original man, aboriginal man, indigenous, native to this part of the earth, however you want to determine yourselves, because that is very important. And we getting closer to that. Just bear with me. We getting closer to the proper identification for the original man and woman on the planet Earth, which that is truly the correct terminology. We are the original man and woman of the planet Earth. And that supersedes everything. But they did break us down into factions where they would say African American. I even heard of one sister say the colored woman. I'm like, okay. I hear Negro. I hear black. I hear Moor. You know what I mean? And we know when we speak these terms, we know who it's talking about. But good name, as Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated, is better than gold. So we want the correct terminology, and we're getting to that. Just bear with us. This thing, it has to be right on time. If you understand what I'm saying. But yeah, I just wanted you all to hear that. I thought that was very important, because Jesus' history, true history of Jesus, is Black history. Again, so since it's Black History Month, we're going to give you everything. Even though it's 360, but, hey, a lot of people tune in and they want to know different informations and facts and certain things pertaining to them. Because when you know about yourself and you know who you are, it gives you a certain pride, a certain dignity. Hold your head up, stick your chest out. You don't have to walk around the planet as a second-class citizen, and you don't have to walk around like you're inferior to anybody when everybody came out of you. So, it is what it is. But Verbal Pick Radio, we thank you all for listening, and we'll keep bringing you information that definitely will benefit you, and things that you can use in your everyday life, and things that you can share with others to build them up as we ride in this same harmony train, this same positive frequency, this same vibrational pitch, as we glide through this universe. Verbal Pick Radio, we're out.